Minasan konnichiwa, and welcome to part 2 of the Board Game Dojo's 2023 Holiday Gift Guide, where we're going to give you over 50 unique games to get this holiday season. Now, to help you out with that, we have instilled two very important rules to follow. One is that the game has to be available, and if you're importing it, it has to be available in time for you to receive it by the holiday season. The second rule is that the price to acquire these games cannot be ridiculous. We don't want to give you a $30 game today and then it's an additional $90 to import the game. That just kind of defeats the purpose. Now, luckily, compared to last year, these rules are a lot easier to follow thanks to more shops opening up an imported game section or expanding their imported game selection. And that includes this series sponsor, travelgames.co.uk. Travelgames.co.uk not only has travel games that make great stocking stuffers, as their name implies, but because they are a co-host of the Board Game Dojo podcast and I work for them as a translator, they are the first and often only place to get positively reviewed games from our channel, as well as other hard-to-acquire Asian games. So with that, let's move on to part 2 of this board game holiday gift guide. Part 2 is games that are between $25 and $50. Let's start out with our 2-player recommendation, and our import recommendation is Take the Acord 2nd Edition, and the 2nd Edition is the very important part of this because the 2nd Edition adds a 2-player variant. Take the Acord is a jazz-themed trick-taking game that'll have you changing the values of the cards in your hands, making some tricks worth more than others, and also trying to be very careful of how many tricks you're going to win, because if you win too many, you'll lose points, and if you don't win enough, you'll also lose points. So it's all about being a valuable member of the band without being an overbearing or non-contributing one. I was so surprised by a couple of things with this game. A, of how they could make a theme work so well for a trick-taking game, a genre not exactly known for its themes, and also how they could make a game that was mostly known as a 4-player trick-taking game into a 2-player variant that actually works really well. In fact, it is a game that you can buy for the purpose of 2-player trick-taking, but you can then bring it and play it as a 4-player, and both options work phenomenally well. We've really enjoyed our time with Take the Acord 2nd Edition, and we hope that you will too. Our non-import recommendation for 2-player games is Caper Europe. Caper Europe will have you running a group of thieves, both needing to hire thieves and get gear cards and put them to different locations to steal some goodies. There aren't many rules for it, but there is a lot of replayability thanks to the variety of gear cards and the variety of locations that you'll be playing it at that change the rules just a little bit. And the tug-of-war aspect of it makes it so easy to just replay around because, oh, my opponent beat me in this way this game, I want to try to beat them that way in the next game. It actually ended up topping our top 10 2-player games of all time, and we are still enjoying it thanks to its easy-to-learn rule set, its fantastic production, and its immense replayability. Next, let's move on to our family game recommendations, and our import recommendation is Rainforest City. Rainforest City has you building up a habitat and a food chain that represents Singapore's rainforests, but the inspiration behind the game and the theme of the game is all about conservation. So while you're building houses, you don't want to build it too close to the animals that are living there, or else you're going to lose points. Not only do the mechanics lend itself to a surprisingly strategic game for something in this weight class, but the real-life aspect of it, and it includes a photograph book in the game that shows you the real animals that are living in this rainforest city, making this a great learning experience as well. In fact, when I was done playing this, I went and researched a lot about it. For people that are looking for a game that give you a fun aspect to it, but also a learning aspect to it, Rainforest City is a good recommendation. Our non-import recommendation is Dog Park, and as its name suggests, this is definitely going to be a fan for people who love dogs out there. Dog Park will have you be running a dog walking business in which you'll be acquiring different dogs that you'll be walking, going ahead and walking them, and trying to increase your reputation. Thanks to the variety of mechanics that are here and the variety of dogs, not even to mention that there's a bunch of expansions that'll even increase this even more. This game is endlessly replayable, and we have found it coming to our table quite a bit. This game has often been compared to Wingspan. I don't know if that's exactly fair, but it's definitely in the same weight class of it. So if you have gamers that are really interested in Wingspan and you know that they'll love dogs, then Dog Park is definitely one to look at. And I mean, the art of this game is lovely, so that's always a definite plus. Next up, let's go to our party game recommendations. And our party game recommendation for import is Catch Sketch and its expansion Magic Hat, which we do feel like is an essential expansion, which combined puts it in this video's price range. Catch Sketch is a drawing game in which one player, like Headbands, will put a card that has a word up on their forehead so that they cannot see it, but everybody else can. Everybody else will work to draw that as quick as possible, because once they're done, they'll be able to grab a scoring chip from the middle, and most likely, if you're going to finish it first, you're going to grab the highest point value chip. Once everybody is done, the person with the card on their head will guess in order from the highest point chip to the lowest one. If they get it right, then both players get that many points. But if they get it wrong, then they have to move to the next person who had the lower point total, and then they keep going until it's over. What the Magic Hat expansion does is it puts the drawing boards into quadrants, so people are drawing in 4 quadrants. But the first thing that'll do is that somebody, instead of taking a point token, will take the Magic Hat token. And what they will do is they will shout a number, either 1, 2, 3, or 4, and everybody has to first erase any part of their picture that is in that quadrant. It leads to a lot more laughs, and it leads to a lot longer game. We found that Catch Sketch, while being really fun, was over way too quickly, especially if you had good artists, whereas Magic Hat is so much more a game that you can say it doesn't matter how good you are, because part of your picture is going to be erased anyway, and you get a lot of funny pictures that are definitely 3/4 done, or you get the groans when the Magic Hat person erased the most important part of other people's picture. We've had a lot of fun with this one, and look out for our full review of this game coming soon. Our non-import recommendation for party game is Dungeon Fighter, and I don't want to give you too much of what's going on here, because the absolute silliness of this game is something that I just want you to experience for yourself. But Dungeon Fighter is a dungeon crawly style of party game, something that I didn't really think that I would like very much. But you are going to be rolling dice in different ways and having to get it onto a target. But different monsters need you to do different things, like rolling the dice in different ways. Overall, this game has led to just so many moments in which you don't think you're going to be able to do something, but you pull off an incredible shot. And because it's a cooperative game, you can all enjoy those great shots while also looking at each other like, how on earth are we going to pull this off? Dungeon Fighter is an experience unlike any other game out there, and I recommend it if you're looking for a new party game to bring to your friends. Next up, we have our casual game category, and our import recommendation is My Best Chef. My Best Chef is a lightweight engine building game that has you running a restaurant, hiring different employees that have different skills and effects so that you can run the most efficient restaurant. The name of the game is all about engine building, and on your turn you can only do 1 of 5 actions. But the more employees you hire, the more you can turn that one action into almost all 5 of the actions in and of itself, or repeating actions, making your restaurant, as I said, more efficient. It is kind of a race aspect, because as soon as somebody hires their 12th employee, the game is over. So hopefully you hired enough employees to get points, hopefully you got those end game goals completed, and hopefully you didn't leave behind too much garbage. Our non-import recommendation actually caught me by surprise that I would put it on this list, but we really have enjoyed it, and that is Sniper Elite, the board game. Now hold on, I am not that big of a fan of the video game either. It's a little bit overly gory for what I'm usually into, but the board game is a very smart and easy to learn game that is all about hidden movement. One player will play as the titular sniper while everybody else is trying to capture the sniper, and everybody has very tough decisions that they're making throughout the game. As the sniper is trying to reach their objective, they'll have to make important decisions like how fast to move, because they don't want to move too fast that they're going to get caught and make noise, making it easier for the other players to catch them. But they also don't want to move too slow because they have to reach their objective by a certain time. So they might have to shoot down the other players, but then that makes noise and also gives away their location, so everybody is trying to just move smartly. This game absolutely blew us out of the water of what we were expecting, and it's not just us. Other channels like Actual Lol and So Very Wrong About Games have both praised this game a lot, and we can now see why. If you're at all interested in hidden movement games, I would give this one a look, even if it's not a theme you would normally enjoy. Finally, our last category of the day is the strategy category, and our import recommendation is the new Rumble Nation Deluxe Edition, which, based on where you're looking, you might see it as able to order or able to pre-order. And that's because it is brand spanking new. Rumble Nation is a game that's been out of print for a while, in which you are going to be doing area control. This game can basically be described as Slingshot the game because in the first phase of the game, you're going to be putting your troops all over the map based on the dice that you roll and the powers that you choose to use. That's the first phase in which you're pulling back that slingshot, but in the second phase of the game, you're going to be letting it go and seeing how everything went. In each area of the map, there is a number, and you'll be going from lowest to highest, seeing who has more troops in that area. Whoever has more troops in that area will get to put reinforcements in all of the adjacent spaces around that area. What this means is that you might win the area that has the 2 on it, and that's only worth 2 points, but then you get to put all of the troops in every spot around the 2 area, and one of those spots was the 11 spot, and now all of a sudden the person who thought they were going to win the 11 spot and get 11 points is now losing because they didn't invest in any of the areas around that sacred spot. Rumble Nation is a game that takes only 20 minutes but has all of the same feelings of a game that take much longer. And I'm glad that this out-of-print game that I was hoping more people would get to experience can finally experience it, and with a much better production. Our final game of the day is our non-import recommendation for strategy game, and it is Amun-Re 20th edition. It was hard not to put a game like Ra on here, which is generally considered a better Reiner Knizia auction game, but I don't think Amun-Re has gotten the due that it deserves. Stop me when you've heard this before, but Amun-Re will have you doing auctions in order to win different parts of the map, and the different parts of the map will have different effects on them. But Amun-Re does a couple things that are really smart, and one of which being that you're not only bidding on effects, but you're bidding on maybe some bricks so that you can build some pyramids and get some points that way. But not only that, but you're actually playing the game really twice and keeping some of the stuff from the first round into the second round while getting rid of others. And this makes it so that you can actually learn it really well from the very first game. It gives you a chance from the very first game to kind of feel your way around the board. What spots do I want? How do I do different things? How do I make sure that I'm not going to bankrupt myself? And then once the person announces, all right, the first round is over, now we're starting it up again in the second round, you're like, oh no, what did I do? Or, oh boy, how can I prevent that person who is definitely winning right now? I want to make sure they don't do as well this round. One thing to pay attention to is that this comes with a standard edition and an expanded edition, but you can tell our opinions on the matter because the expanded edition would not belong in this price range video and the standard edition does. Maybe if you're somebody who already knows that they enjoy the game, maybe the expansions are good, and I definitely think that they are an enjoyable thing, but I just think the standard edition is totally fine to give as a gift. Well, that's going to do it for part 2 of our holiday gift guide video. Don't forget that we're still doing holiday giveaways, so keep liking, commenting, and following us everywhere because each one of those things is a unique entry into our giveaways. Thank you so much for watching today. Arigatou gozaimashita. Until next time, じゃあね.